So far in this series, I talked about the importance of paying attention to details in terms of the reps you do, the sets you do, the workouts that you do, and today I want to talk about the range of motion that you go through. Now, most people go through a full range of motion. Ego lifters won't because they can't lift as much weight, so they only train through the range in which they can lift the most amount of weight. Now, this could be something you might want to include into your strategy, and I'm going to talk about why, but generally a full range of motion is always going to be best for you. There are just some things that you might want to include to maximize the return you get on your investment of time and effort. Now, when you do a full range of motion, you're limited by how strong you are in the weakest position in terms of how much weight you can use. Therefore, the trained muscles are not subjected to a form of overload for much of the range of motion. So think about it like this. If you could do 315 through a full range of motion, 3 plates on a bar, if you only did the top half of the range of motion, you might be able to use 365. If you only did the top quarter of the range of motion, you might be able to use 405. So this doesn't matter if it's a squat or a deadlift or a bench press. Don't even worry about the exact exercise. Just pay attention to the numbers real quick. So what this suggests is that if all you can lift is 315 through a full range of motion, but you can lift 365 or 405 through the mid-range or the top range, then the muscles responsible for producing force to perform that direction of effort, whether it's a squat, a deadlift, a bench press, or anything else, are not subjected to a form of overload throughout their entirety. They're capable of more at different ranges because of biomechanics and the way muscles are designed. And if you don't subject them to these forms of overload, you're not going to maximally promote the response that you're there to get. So today's tip, train various ranges independently. So the example would be for your first exercise, your workout, do whatever lift that you're doing through a full range of motion. And then the second exercise, the exact same exercise, but only the top range of motion because you can use more weight to overload the muscles responsible for producing force to perform that direction of effort to a greater degree than you normally would. Now, you can also combine this tip with the last tip, which was about segmenting your efforts so that you could put forth a better effort to everything that you do to maximally promote the response that you're there to get. So what you could do, full range in the morning, top range in the evening. Go back to the gym, train the same lift, but overload the same muscles to a better degree than they normally would be if all you did was a full range of motion. Now this is just an example. You could do the top range first and the full range later. That's up to you. You pick how you do what you want to do. The underlying principle here is to overload the muscles throughout their entirety because when you train through a full range of motion, you're not doing that. The point of this entire series so far was to pay attention to details because the way you do what you do will influence more than anything the return you get on your investment of time and effort from going to the gym and training in the first place. A lot of people don't pay attention to the details, and as a result, they don't get the results that they believe they're entitled to just for showing up. It's not about showing up. How you do what you do is what it's all about. So you got to pay attention to the reps, to the sets, to the workouts, and to the range. There's other variables as well, but this should hit home for most people and open their eyes to the fact that you got to pay attention to the details because slight modifications and adjustments can be made to promote a much greater response than you're currently getting. If you like this information, share, click the fucking button at the bottom and subscribe to the channel.